Bu Yuli, bisa kita mulai?
Oke.
Ladies and gentlemen, our sharing session is about to begin. Thank you very much for preparing yourself to join our session. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning for Professor Naciye. Respectable, our speakers today, Professor Naciye Aksoy from Gazi University, Turkey, and Mrs. Yuli Kurniawati Sugiyo Pranoto, Ph.D. from Universitas Negeri Semarang. The Honorable, the Vice Rector in Academic of Universitas PGRIS Semarang, Dr. Sri Suciati M. Hum, the Dean and the Vice Dean of Faculty of Education, Universitas PGRIS Semarang, all lecturers in the Faculty of Education, Universitas PGRIS Semarang, and all the participants of this sharing session. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Riri Setio Sundari, the moderator of today's event. I am very pleased to see you here and welcome all of you to this sharing session. Today's sharing session is about gender issues on children's rights in the education setting. To start our session, we will hear welcome greeting from the Dean of Faculty of Education, Dr. Ira SPI MPD. The floor is yours.
No sound, Bu.
Udah? Belum? Sudah? Oke. Ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sri Suciati M. Hum, the Honorable Professor Dr. Naciye Aksoy, the Honorable Dr. Yuli Kurniawati, the Honorable Lecturer at the Faculty of Education, all students of primary teacher education and early childhood teacher education participating in this sharing session that I'm proud of. First of all, let us give thanks to God, the Almighty, for His guidance and grace. Today's sharing session can run smoothly. Good morning, Prof. Naciye. I am Dr. Ira.
Good
Nice
morning.
to meet you.
Selamat siang.
Selamat siang. Nice to meet you, Prof.
Nice to meet you
Naciye.
too.
Thank
How are
you for
you?
sharing. Fine, I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for sharing the result of Prof. Naciye's research. We really want to learn a lot and need assistance. Thank you to my best friend, Dr. Yuli, who has bridged the communication with Prof. Naciye. I also learned a lot about research and how to write article on Scopus from Dr. Yuli. Thanks to God for bringing me together with great people like Prof. Naciye and Dr. Yuli. On today's sharing session, we will gain new knowledge about first, gender issue on children's rights in the education setting. Second, gender preference in play companions to lead to happiness. A case study on Indonesian children. Hopefully, in the future, a joint research can be established between the Faculty of Education, Universitas PGRI Semarang, with Gazi University Turkey, and Universitas Negeri Semarang. We are very happy if Prof. Naciye is willing to be the supervisor of research that our lecturer will do. I'll involve our lecturer in Prof. Naciye's research in order to advance the world of education, especially early childhood education and primary education. Finally, we would like to apologize if there are shortcomings in this sharing session, and thank you to all participants for joining this sharing session. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Ira. Now we will hear welcome greeting from the Vice Rector in Academic Field of Universitas PGRI Semarang and followed by opening this session. Dr. Sri Suciati M. Hum, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bu Riris. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning, Prof. Naciye. First and foremost, we would like to praise and thank God, the Almighty, who has granted countless blessings safely to all of us, so that we have the opportunity to be present in this event. We are also thankful to all the involved parties for their effort and dedication for the realization of this event. Secondly, I'd like to extend my respect to our distinguished speakers, Professor Naciye Aksoy from Gazi University Turki. The second speaker, Ibu Yuli Kurniawati Sugiyo Pranoto, Ph.D. from Universitas Negeri Semarang, the Dean of Education Faculty of UPGRIS, the Department Chair of Elementary Education Department, the committee and participants of sharing session program. On behalf of Rector of Universitas PGRI Semarang, I would like to express my gratitude to Professor Naciye Aksoy and Ibu Yuli Kurniawati Sugiyo Pranoto, Ph.D. for your time in the sharing session to share your knowledge, experience, and expertise regarding gender and child rights issues in education. Professor Naciye, for your information, our University Senate members are scheduled to visit Turkey from May 20 to May 27. We hope we could visit your university someday.
Hope so. Welcome.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have understood, there are three related problems in relation to gender issues in Indonesian education context, namely accessibility, participation, and the utilization of accessibility and participation. In terms of policy implementation, gender equality has been actually implemented in Indonesian education system. However, the result may have not been satisfactory due to some cultural constraints, such as patriarchy culture, either in families or society. Prof. Naciye, Ibu Yuli, and participants of this sharing session, I expect that the ideas brought about during the sharing session would be then followed up into joint research between Gazi University as represented by Professor Naciye Aksoy and researchers from Universitas PGRI Semarang to address gender-related problems in our education. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope the meeting would be of a great benefit for all of us, and please enjoy the sharing session. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bu Suci. Ladies and gentlemen, our speakers today are Professor Naciye Aksoy from Gazi University and Mrs. Yuli Kurniawati Sugiyo Pranoto, Ph.D. from Universitas Negeri Semarang. Before the presentation begins, let me inform how the presentation will be going on. First, Professor Naciye Aksoy will be invited to present the material and followed by question and answer session. And after that, Mrs. Yuli Kurniawati Sugiyo Pranoto, Ph.D. will deliver her presentation and followed by question and answer session. So if you have question, you can type your question on the chat box. Before Professor Naciye Aksoy deliver her presentation, let me read about her curriculum vitae. Professor Naciye Aksoy is from Gazi University. Her education information, her doctorate is from University of Cincinnati, and her postgraduate is from Hacettepe University, and her undergraduate is from Ankara University. Professor Naciye Aksoy, her research area in education, educational science, educational administration, and planning, teacher training for primary school. And there are so many research and article of Professor Naciye Aksoy that published in Scopus. Now, allow me to welcome our first speaker to deliver her presentation. Professor Naciye Aksoy, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning to Turkey and good afternoon Indonesia. Selamat siang again. Thank you very much for inviting me to this speak. First of all, I would like to express my thanks and gratitude to Dean of Faculty of Education, Vice Rector, and Dr. Munira or Ira, colleagues and students of Universitas PGRI Samarang for inviting me to speak about gender and children's rights. I'm also very happy to be in the same webinar with my dear colleague, Dr. Yuli. I also greet all participants with respect. In my presentation today, first of all, I will briefly emphasize the legal foundation of equality in education. And later, I will talk about various obstacles, as the Vice President mentioned, to achieving gender equality in educational settings. And finally, I will talk about our own research. Some parts of my talk will be specific to Turkey context, but it is, same as the other country, I guess. Can I share my materials?
Sure.
Okay. Sorry for sorry, I couldn't open my file. Is it okay right now?
It's okay, Prof.
Maybe I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Many of you have some ideas about the, international declarations and conventions about gender equality. International declarations and conventions, also many countries' laws guarantee that all children are given a gender equal education. So girls and boys should be regarded as equal learners and they should be treated equally in education. Gender equality as an educational base means that girls and boys are considered equal intellectually and emotionally. According to policy documents, girls and boys shouldn't be separated in any terms of learning and development. And additionally, school must provide children with proper and equal care and feeling of security. And this must also be done on gender equal terms. However, when we look at the official reports in Turkey and other parts of the world, gender equality focuses more on the indicators of male and female students mostly accessing schools. And it is emphasized that measures should be taken to ensure proportional equality. For example, indicators of gender parity in education, the number of boys and girls enrolled in education, the number of boys and girls who survive up to grade 5 or compulsory education, attendance rate, the number of girls and boys who repeat years of schooling, literacy levels of boys and girls, the average years of schooling attained for boys and girls, and so on. Of course, numerical equality is an indication of equality, but it doesn't not conform to satisfactory or substantive definition of equality. As Subrahmanian points out, numerical equality is not holistic in the sense of rights. Numerical equality captures a descriptive sense of the right to education. Maybe we can say in other words like this: numerical equality can easily mask large inequalities in the educational attainment of boys and girls. As many of you know, schools are social structures that are both affected the culture and affect the culture and affected by the culture they are in. They almost reflect the dominant social structure in which they are accessed. So the definition of gender equality in education needs to start by recognizing that formal equality is merely starting point for assessing gender equality as an educational goal. To understand rights deeply from a gender perspective as they play out within the educational process, we need to focus to some obstacles like hidden curriculum, official curriculum and learning content, teaching materials, student-teacher interactions, subject choice, patriarchal power relations, and learning outcomes. Maybe I can change my slides. Gender equality or rights within education thus refers to the right of boys and girls to non-discrimination in educational opportunities in each of the aspects, as I said before. This means that educational institutions should function in ways that do not impose or perpetuate gender stereotypes that exert psychological influence and or promote institutional barriers to the range of possibilities that boys and girls can enjoy in relation to the education on offer. However, there are various obstacles to achieving gender equality in educational settings. We must be aware of these obstacles and struggle to remove them in all over the world. One of the obstacle is a hidden curriculum. We should aware of the hidden curriculum, our behaviors, attitudes, and so on. The hidden curriculum is the message. Sorry, let's say like this. The hidden curriculum is the messages that are not included in the official or open curriculum, but are given through discourses and practices related to the functioning and organization of the school. Hidden curriculum messages are often communicated through our attitudes, values, beliefs, and behaviors. While the school administration officially defends the equality of boys and girls, the attitudes of the administrators and teachers may subordinate female students. Learning the virtues of democracy in the official curriculum, the student learns deeply about the content of democracy under the rigid and oppressive structure of school life. Behavior codes of students and teachers are not included in the curriculum, official curriculum, but students learn how to behave in school, in the school environment, cultural environment of the school. Because many aspects of school life are regulated by the rules, from school ceremonies to how to maintain order in the classroom, from cultural activities to have relations are organized, expectations are communicated to students with unwritten rules. The purpose for which these rules are arranged determines whether they will lead the students to obedience or to criticism. Therefore, hidden curriculum messages may complement or contradict the official curriculum. But the hidden curriculum often serves to preserve dominant culture and socio-economic hierarchy to maintain the status quo. And the other, as you see on the slides, another obstacle of gender equality is the gender blindness. In Turkey, especially, maybe in your country and in other countries, as sexist climate prevails in schools. While schools promote girls' education and enrollment at the official level of discourse, and also despite the egalitarian rhetoric of administrators and teachers in practice, schools do little to achieve gender equality and change gender roles. Sorry. Generally, school administrators and teachers do not accept that girls are discriminated. Although they claim to be egalitarian, a sexist approach can be observed in the organization of education and training, the organization of learning environment and process, such as classroom arrangement, separation into areas, guidance services, and so on. Because teachers and administrators are raised in the same education system, they cannot see their critical role in the reproduction of dominant gender relations. Therefore, teachers and administrators tend to maintain traditional gender roles or the status quo in the wider society and education. Accordingly, sexist attitudes and behaviors in schools are quite common among teachers and other staff at schools. And the other obstacle is patriarchal power relations, as Vice President mentions. It is possible to make some determinations based on the systematic data on how social and cultural reproduction works in the school context, and the experiences and observation of teachers working at various levels of education. The most striking feature of schools is that they reflect patriarchal power relations. Starting from the central and local education administrators, ministry, director of national education, inspector, the principals of schools at all levels are predominantly male. Female teachers mostly work as assistant principals. Men represent power and authority in schools. They are structured in accordance with the sexist division of labor. Women, who make up about half of the teachers in Turkey context, are invisible in the field of educational administration. At this point, it is seen that a distinct sexual division of labor prevails in the field of education and schools. This is also most important aspect of hidden curriculum at school too. Students are socialized under a masculine hegemony maintained by a division of labors similar to that of men and women in the same family. The gender profile of teachers in certain fields and positions, whether they are male or female in fields such as mathematics and science, where men are predominant or in managerial position, can help reduce or reinforce masculine stereotypes. Schools where women are teachers and men are administrators contribute to the reproduction of the sexual division of labor at home and in employment. Schools also do a lot of things, both overt and covert, to justify the unequal distribution of care work between women and men. Work, responsibilities and values related to home and family are interpreted as feminine, and women and men's labor is used in different ways in maintaining schoolwork. The labor of mostly girls is used for cleaning and office work, and the labor of boys is used to provide transportation, physical strength. Similarly, female teachers are directed to psychological support jobs, while male teachers are directed to regulatory and rule-making jobs. While every aspect of school culture affects all foremost female students' participation in education, this culture also directly affects women's employment and career choices. Gender-based labor segregation is based on gender stereotypes, both horizontally and vertically, driven by initial learning experiences at school and influencing further education and job choices. These stereotypes determine various aspects of domestic labor, family care, responsibility, and gender-based division of labor. The other barrier of gender equality is a curriculum and learning content. Curriculum as a set of knowledge and values is the ideological and cultural tool of a society's self-reproduction through its school system. The ideological content of the curriculum is determined through education policies and in which knowledge forms and values the reproduction will be carried out and which ones will be included in the textbooks. Textbooks play an important role in the construction of social meanings, identities, and subjectiveness. As such, textbooks can directly or indirectly contribute to the reproduction of patriarchal power relations, or on the contrary, facilitate the formation of egalitarian meanings. Textbooks have an important function in gender equality or inequality. They are central and indispensable materials in education systems. Textbooks also contribute to social construction through the information they include and exclude. In Turkey, textbooks generally distinguish between men and women on the basis of gender stereotypes. As you see these pictures in the textbooks, it is definition of woman in the private sphere and housework, and the man in the public sphere with a job that earns money and provides for this family. In the 2018 second grade life sciences book, there is a gender discrimination in the division of labor within the family. On the page 69 of the book, the mother says she is preparing the table, and on page 77, she is preparing the meal. In these images, it is always the girls who help the mothers. In the book, there is the idea that kitchen work is the duty of women in the theme of life in our house. Gender discrimination is even in mathematics textbooks. In the problems, it is the men who fill the pool and drive the car and or train, while the women are in helping or secondary role. Children's literature also progress in parallel with these stereotypes. Male heroes always solve serious problems, while women are endowed with typical weaknesses. There is great consistency in the type of woman here. Almost all of them are oppressed due to their characteristic, such as victims of violence. Hansel, Gretel, the Little Red Riding Hood. Maybe they are poor, like Cinderella, Match Girl, Red Shoes, or abandoned. On the other hand, male heroes save the female characters by kissing, fighting the enemy, killing the enemy, taking her to his palace. Old women in fairy tales are often described as witches, evil, or stepmothers. Although rare, women who are defined as heroes lack feminine characteristics. While the woman is the value contractor, the man is the value adder, the life giver. Boys can identify with many different heroes, so they can be more courageous in daily life. But girls face the most shocking traumas of life, but despite this victimization, they are defined by moral perfection, delicacy, and grace. All of these are materials of spreading gender ideology. Another most important barrier or obstacles of gender equality is the teacher-student interaction. Studies have revealed that teachers consciously or unconsciously maintain stereotype roles regarding gender roles in the classroom. Of course, teachers' beliefs and expectations about gender roles affect children's behaviors. Because teachers who establish a face-to-face relationship with students in school life and are both a role model and authority figure are in a very critical position. Teachers' definition of good students, skills, and success expectations, discipline methods vary in relation to the gender of the students. Such expectations and attitudes as part of teachers' classroom management strategy can create different areas of responsibility and competitive environment. And teaching methods polarize boys and girls. Different expectations of teachers from male and female students can put both girls and boys at a disadvantage. For example, in the context of definition of good students, girls are constructed as ideal students, while boys are defined as problem makers. However, since teachers often direct the lesson with the disruptive behavior and attitudes of male students, they receive more of the teacher's attention, and this situation is turned into an advantage in terms of male students' exam performances. Teachers, educators, implicitly or overtly show sexist behaviors in school settings. For example, interfering with appearance and dressing, giving less birth to girls in class discussion, ignoring their questions, segregating the course content by gender, not placing boys and girls together, assigning schools and class presidential duties more to male students, and so on. Okay, as it is seen or all over the world, maybe in Turkey context, I can say that studies regarding gender inequality have always been made indirectly without asking children. However, as I mentioned at the beginning, one of the most fundamental rights of children in the right to participate in CRC, CRC, considering participation right of children, accepting them as a subject rather than the object of the research, we conducted as a research together with my colleagues, Özge Nurlu Üstün and Ülkü Çoban Sural. Now, at this moment, I would like to share our research results that focus on children's perception on gender issues regarding children's rights. In our research, we asked two questions. What are the perception of fourth grade primary school students toward gender inequality or equality based on children's rights? And the second question was, do the perception of fourth grade primary school students towards gender inequality or equality based on children's rights differ according to their gender or sex? We designed the research as descriptive simple survey method. That is easy to reach more children at one time with the survey model. But we can use, of course, another research method to searching the children gender identity. And sample and share. Our research sample included 570 students. And we conducted the study with the fourth graders on the grounds that they would complete the survey more comfortably and consciously since the rights matter were included in this study. That fourth graders attend the social sciences and human rights, citizenship, and democracy courses, and that their reading, writing, and comprehension skills were more developed compared to the other grade levels. 264 girls and 306 boys attending the public schools was comprised in our study group. Let's get the research instrument and procedure. We developed the data collection tool upon inspiration from the books, namely La Déclaration des Droits des Filles, in English, the Declaration of Girls' Rights, and the Declaration of Boys' Rights, by Elizabeth Bramy and Estelle Billions-Bagnol. These books were written for children, but addressed to people from any age group. The rights provided in clauses in both of books, example, similar to the boys, the girls also have the right to have their hair cut very short. The rights provided in clauses in both of the books, we transformed into survey items like who has the right to have her or his hair cut very short. Each item was provided with 3 options, namely only girls' right, only boys' right, and both girls and boys' right. Let's see how we analyze our data. We used simple frequency percentages and compare by their sex. We used chi-square. Let me jump to my results. Very shortly, very briefly, I will explain our results. The perception of fourth graders as regards the right to playing with marbles significantly differ by sex, and that considering the percentages, the girls had a more egalitarian attitude compared to boys. It was remarkable that there was an agreement that the right to playing with toy plane was perceived only boys' right, and playing computer, playing hopscotch, skipping rope, and climbing to trees were highly seen as a right by both sexes, where playing at house game and with dolls were highly seen as a right of girls, and playing with toy cars was highly seen that of boys. Regarding the rights to have hair cut short, grow hair, and keep a ponytail, significantly different in statistical terms, and that the boys had more sexist attitude towards the foregoing rights. Students think that wearing blue was more of a right of boys, where wearing pink was that of girls. The perception of the fourth grade students regarding the right to become a surgeon and the secondary school teachers significantly differed by sex. Girls adopted a more egalitarian attitude toward both rights. Perception as regards fashion model and sculpture professions were significantly different by sex. Became a fashion model was seen more of right of girls by both sexes, where becoming a sculptor was seen as a right of both sexes. Students stated that becoming an astronaut, a public prosecutor or judge, and a police officer was highly a right for both sexes. However, there was a high level of agreement as regards that becoming a truck driver was a right of boys, where becoming a nurse or babysitter was that of girls. Furthermore, while becoming a dancer or nursery school teacher was seen as a right for both sexes, there was also an agreement that performing such professions was mostly a right of girls. Perceptions regarding the right to know how to wash dishes Perceptions regarding the right to know how to wash dishes and iron significantly differed by sex, and that such right was mostly attributed to girls. Considering the ratio, it was seen that the boys held a more sexist attitude in that context. There was a high level of agreement as regards the fact that repairing and driving nails were a right for boys, where to know how to sew and knit was that of girls. Although knowing how to cook was seen as an equal right for both sexes, there is a more intensive agreement as regards given that girls were entitled to that right. There were statistically significant differences by sex as regards to students' perception of rights to learn how to shoot arrows, play football, and read adventure stories. Although boys held a more sexist attitude towards three items in general, it was considered that shooting arrows and reading adventure stories was an equal right, where playing football was a right of boys. Success in mathematics, acting naughty, playing chess, weeping for being unaffected while watching a film, favoring detective stories and horror films, success in literacy and reading poems were seen as an equal right by the students. However, the ballot was seen as a particular right for girls, where boxing is for boys. The results of this study suggested, inconsistent with the results of other studies, that the primary school fourth grade students had explicit stereotypical approaches in many fields, including professions, plays, toys, colors, daily life skills, and academic success, art, and sports. And we can recommend it as a result of our research that similar to racial, linguistic, religious, and economic fields, the establishment of a structure towards equal gender in society definitely requires questioning the political, legal, religious, and cultural power structures and transformation from which is asymmetrical to which is equal. As per the principle of equality in democracies, the essential responsibility of such transformation belongs to the state. Therefore, it is first expected from the state to implement laws for equal gender in each field of life. The present, our study found that the primary school fourth grade students had explicit stereotypical approaches in many fields, including professions, plays, toys, colors, daily lives, sports, as is commonly observed in our society. The students adopt the sexist perspective at early ages, yet they can also change such sexist tendencies toward an egalitarian direction. In order for that change is ensured, the policies, plans, and programs toward removing all kinds of sexist elements and practices from the content and conduct, like programs, books, teacher behavior, spaces, activities of education that play an important place in children's life and is performed under supervision and control of the state, should be implemented again by the state. Naturally, it is most likely that there will be a resistance based on religious and cultural grounds in the process of policies, plans, and programs that will establish equality of gender in daily life and educational environments. It is of utmost importance that the awareness all the employees in the field of education, the role models of children as regards equal gender is raised before the children. As a social entity, the child becomes a member of other social system such as school, neighbor, peers, groups, associations, and laws, other than their family as their age increases. Given that all the environments involving the children respect for human rights and freedoms and protect such rights and freedom, hold an important place in learning and development of equality of gender. Therefore, the most important contribution any relevant adult can offer to a child is to create an environment which will respect for the child only as a human being without regard to her or his sex. I hope I used my time effectively. Thank you very much for your patience, for my poor English, and listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Naciye Aksoy, for giving us such informative and interesting presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, now come to the question and answer session. Maybe you can raise hand to ask your question. Raise hand. Okay. Oke, di tempat saya belum ada. Miss Ratna Wahyu Pusari.
Good afternoon, Prof. Naciye. Good afternoon, Miss Naciye. Okay,
Yeah.
my name is Ratna Wahyu Pusari. I'm from early childhood education.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Okay, in Indonesia, I will ask you about in Indonesia, in choosing of variety of play is setting by design. Boys lead to mechanic or construction play. Then the girls lead to tend to play dolls or dramatic play. According to this case, is it possible to make a research about this? If it is yes, then what kind of research method we can do with this theme? Or we just doing a survey or qualitative research? Okay, thank you.
Okay. You asked me that what kind of research method we can use to research about children play, right?
Yes.
Okay. Other than survey method, with the young children, especially in early childhood education level, we can use, dramatization and observation and storytelling. These methods are very effective to understand their gender identity. Observation, a special observation, and keeping notes, daily notes. Who plays with which toy? Who plays with together? You know, what they say when they are playing, house play or mechanic play. Who rules? I mean, who leads the groups and what they say? Observation is very, very important to get, you know, good data to understand the children play. And also storytelling, you know, maybe not by older people, but children can say their story. They can tell their story. For example, give them an idea and tell them, write or tell a story about this. And we keep notes about their story, what they say. And another way to collect data is showing pictures. You know, there is a older goose or duck and little ducklings. Show them who are they? Who are they? Mostly when they see pictures like that, you know, older ducks and siblings, you know, ducklings, they say, this is mother. And ask them, who is he? Who is she? Why do you think like that? Why you say that this is mother? Showing pictures and drawing pictures is very, very, you know, effective way. Also dramatization. After, you know, storytelling, tell them how to play with this. I mean, just observe and keep notes. Maybe, you know, in older students, we can use survey and we can interview with them because older students can express themselves easily, but younger students focuses mostly to play. Therefore, we use observation, showing pictures, storytellings, dramatization is the effective way of searching children's gender identity.
Okay, Miss Sari, is it enough?
Okay, thank you. I think of the explanation is enough. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much
you.
asking question.
Thank you, Professor Naciye, and thank you for Miss Sari. This is really interesting topic for us in education field. We have one more question from Miss Siti Fatona. Miss Siti
Thank
Fatona,
you.
please.
Riris. Thank you for Professor Naciye Aksoy. I am very lucky can meet with you. I am very interesting with your publication in 2019 about gender perception of the primary school fourth grade gardening regarding about right children. It's very important for us, I think, because about gender in our country still like in your country maybe of scale, because many stereotype and also many perception about it. And when I read your publication, I think it's very very easy to implement in my country when because I think about your generous person, Professor Aksoy, generous person, like
Thank you.
to share your instrument to share your how to get the information. And when I learn about it, when I share in my team, I think it can be duplicated in our country based on 48 your item, and I was learn about it, and almost from 48 this item, I think in our country it's not different. So
Really?
it's very exciting for me, because you are a generous person. Yeah. So our country have many provinces, and when I read your publication, for 507 students come from five district, Miss. It's
Yes.
true. Five
Yes,
district
true.
and one province, and my country have many province, more than 30, ma'am. So when one province have about 30 district, and one district have about 5,000 to 7,000 elementary school. Yeah, so is when you give me how to collect the data with convenient sampling strategy, I am so very happy to know about it, how to implement. But my question is, firstly, could be, ma'am, when I take your instrument to adopt in my country and to implement in my elementary school in my country too. And number two, I want to Professor Naciye Aksoy to improve, to supervisor us how to make the good research and also the good publication, I think about it. And finally, number three is about how to implement. Yeah, when I get some information about gender in fourth elementary school, how to implement in my country, like that's about setting education, about curriculum, and then about textbook. Professor Naciye said like that, and then also about prepare teacher maybe. So, hopefully you can share with me how to implement about research result of research to implement in our country. Thank you very much, Professor Naciye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for showing interest to our research. Actually, I can say yes, it's my pleasure to share my, inventory survey questions with you. I would be happy to share and to see what's going on in different countries. And the first one is your first question is okay, and the second one, the second question was about supervising good research, right?
Yes.
It's okay. I can do anything if I have a time, and if I, maybe we can schedule later. Thank you very much. And the third one is maintaining materials, or I'm not sure, I'm not clear about the third question actually. You said I'm, curriculum, teacher behaviors, and something like that. How to maintain in classroom? You ask me.
I mean is when I get some information as result is the publication, as result about research, how to maybe advance it my, or how to implement, how to impact for our education, like how to teach, how to make a book, etc. Maybe, ma'am.
As I said at the beginning of my talk, I said that we have to aware of gender barriers, gender equality barriers. It is the first thing. I mean, as an educators, as humans, as teachers, as mothers or fathers, we have to eliminate our gender blindness. We have to be so critical about our materials. When we look at textbooks, we have to read it before going to classroom. And with that material, if there's a gender stereotype as a picture or as an sentence, we ask children or students what it means. What do you think? Is it okay, or can we make some differences, or do we are we different from each other, and what these pictures tell us? And just ask questions to students and get their ideas and views about the pictures and words. This is the first thing, I think. Maybe in other things, discourses. For example, in my trainee teachers, I observe 2 days in a week, and they call girls, "Hey girls, look at me," but they never say, "Hey boys." They just tell their names. I mean, they tell boys' names, call them with their names, but as a group, to girls, they say, "Hey girls, look at me," and drop that toy, or something like that. And I warn my trainee students, why do you call girls as a group? They have names, they have an identity. Are you aware of your behavior? And they said, no. Actually, it is a usual thing in our daily life, they say. Also, gender blindness, content of curriculum, and in our behavior. For example, when we give responsibilities to students, give them feminine works or feminine responsibilities, like clean the table, or water the plants, and clean the blackboard, and tell girls maybe go get something. And also in physical exercise classes, we arrange plays together with boys and girls. For example, assign girls as a goalkeeper and footballer, and boys as rock climbing, something like that. But we are very, very look at the details. I mean, something like that. I can say all. Maybe later, if something comes to my mind, I can share more.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor Naciye, for your information. And from the set question, I think is very many important or many advantages from this result about gender to improve our student, our children, to now about gender in their daily activity. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
very
Prof.
much. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Naciye Aksoy, for the answers. This is very interesting for us because in our country, gender issues which are closely related to patriarchal culture are still a problem that occurs in education. But due to limited time, we have to move on the second speaker.
Okay. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for us for our second speaker to deliver her presentation. Before that, let me read about her curriculum vitae. Mrs. Yuli Kurniawati Sugiyo Pranoto, Ph.D. is from Universitas Negeri Semarang. His education in 2004 from Universitas Diponegoro, 2010 Universitas Gadjah Mada, Master of Art in Development Psychology, and 2016 from Central China Normal University, BR China, doctoral degree in educational and developmental psychology. There are so many research and articles that published from Mrs. Yuli Kurniawati Sugiyo Pranoto, Ph.D. So now allow me to welcome Mrs. Yuli to deliver her material. If you have some question, you can type on the chat box. Mrs. Yuli Kurniawati Sugiyo Pranoto, Ph.D., the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Bu Riris. Ya, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Prof. Naciye. Very happy to see you again here. I hope that we can move forward to another meeting. The Honorable, the Vice Rectors of UPGRIS, the Honorable of the Dean of Faculty of Education, Dr. Ira, and all lecturers and all students. And good afternoon, everyone. Today, I would like to share about my paper, my previous research about gender preference. As you know, before that, Professor Naciye have already shared about gender equality in education from a child perspective. While mine is about understanding gender's preference from children's perspective. Once it's understood, we begin to understand children's environment, children's play, children's preference, and the factors that lead to happiness. I'm happy to see all of you here in this afternoons. Sambil menunggu buka puasa mungkin ya. Okay, let me share my presentations first. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see on the screen, there are a lot of slides to share, but don't worry, I will not talk all of the slides one by one. I just take maybe the important one to share with all of you here. My talk is about gender preference in play companions that lead to happiness, a case study on Indonesian students. I would like to divide my presentations into 5 sections. The first is introductions. The second is aim and research questions. The third is methods. And the fourth, result and discussions. The fifth is implications. Again, I will share only the important ones, maybe about the methodology and the result and the implications For the whole manuscript, you can download my paper, and or maybe I can share with all of you after this. Okay, first introductions. Yeah, we have all noticed that over the last decade, happiness has become a topic worth exploring. However, there is a gap in the area of research into children's happiness. So Park and Peterson indicate that studies on children's happiness have been neglected, a point on which Toiles concurs, outlining the need for conceptual clarity in understanding what makes children happy. Chaplin and Toiles respond to this gap by exploring children's own perspective of happiness because of their unique perspective, abilities, and experience. The happiness of children can be viewed as different from that of adults. So here I would like to share about how to involve children as an active respondent in research. Sebelumnya tadi kan ada questions from Miss Siti. Selain Bu Siti, apa tadi yang pertanyaan pertama ya? I forget.
Miss Sari.
Oh yeah, Miss Sari. Miss Sari. Previously, Miss Sari is asked about how to conduct the research with young children. So here I would like to strengthen the how to involve the young children as an active respondent in research. As Professor Naciye told us before, we can do this research with storytelling, with pictures. Here in my previous research, I use the pictures as the visual prompts when we conduct an interview with young children. So I will skip some of the introductions part. I would like to continue to the aim of research questions. This study have two research questions. The first is who are children's most preferred play companions? And the second is how do children describe their play companions that make them happy? So I would like to move to the methodology. The first, this study involved 777 children, young children, 4 to 6 years old. For data collections, we use integrate. The first is interview and the second face scale. For interview, we try to integrate visual prompt into the interview, so we can have a children's self-report here. The other step that we have to consider is about informed consent. Here, not only from the principal and parents, we ask the agreement, the informed consent for the children themselves. Each child was asked to join an interview sessions. When they agree, then we can involve them. But when they not agree, when they didn't agree, then we not involve them in our research. So before the interviews began, every child was briefed with a standardized of this research. And the other instrument, we have a face scale. It was modified to look more real, and considering that the participants were as young as 4 years old, so we need to adjust the instrument from 7 pictures into 6 pictures. The face scale previously used to measure one perceptions of happiness, and it has been widely used due to its validity and reliability. So it was and widely applied to child respondent as active respondents, of course. So this face scale as a graphical representations of emotions that could be recognized by children. I would like to explain more about how began integrating visual prompts into the interviews. We have a single open-ended questions for children aged 4 to 6 years old. The question is, who are your preferred play companions that make you happiest in your daily life? In bahasa mungkin siapakah di antara partner bermain ini yang paling membuat anak-anak itu sangat senang gitu. We use the different sets of pictures from was to explore which play companions make children's happiest. These pictures focus on children's play companions. First is themselves, and the second is family, and the third is school acquaintance. They are friends and also teachers, and the last is peers. Children were triggered to imagine which situations a boy or a girl they would be the happiest in. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 pictures here. The introductions prior to the telling to the story. Like this, I will show you some pictures, and you can call this X for boy or Y for girl, and see him for boy or her for girl in 4 pictures in different situations. Now it is time for you to imagine that you were in all situations. After that, you can tell me, in which of these situations do you think will feel happiest? You should choose only one, the situation, and who are your play companions that will make you feel the happiest, and tell me why you are happy. Children were asked to give response to a question and tell a story of what they had seen in the pictures they choose. As you can see, the first and the second pictures, there's a boy and girl happy to play alone. And the second and third pictures, you can see that the second first, children's happy to play with their school acquaintance, peers, and teachers. And another pictures, children's happy to play with their family members. And another pictures, children happy to play with their friends in the backyard or maybe in the front yard. And for the result, children choose friends as their children's preference of their play companions. And further result for the person chi-square told us that there was a statistical significant association between gender and play companions. Even though friends was the most chosen option as a play companions, children also equally prefer other play companions like family, teachers, and others. Another analysis statistic show us that there is a statistically significant difference in children's level of happiness between the difference of play companions. The most happiest children choose school friends and teachers as their play companions. But for the second preference, there's a difference between from the gender's perspective. Boys tend to choose play with themselves, play alone when they are feel disappointed with their friends at school, while girls tend to choose family members as their play companions when they are feel disappointed with their school friends at school. So that this is a gender's difference. For the discussions part, this study has shown that Indonesian children aged 4 to 6 years old have their different preference in play companions in order to reach the same level of happiness. It showed that friends were the most mentioned as the children's play companions. Children who gain positive social interactions while playing with friends and teachers in school feel happier here. This study also found some gender-based playing preference. As I explained you before, when children do experience from teacher and friend, boys tend to play individually to explore themselves and the environment. When they when they get negative experience with the friends before, so the boy choose to play with themselves, play alone, while girls prefer to play with their family member when they have a negative experience with the school friends. So I would like to jump into the implications and recommendation, especially for the methodology part. So considerations of the play companions that lead to happiness from a children's perspective have provided us a fresh and unique perspective to researchers, especially when assessing children's happiness. Here, I'm sure that it could not be captured if we were asking them to select items on an existing scale that might not reflect the uniqueness of their genders group. So here apa namanya? I recommend to use like a visual prompts when conducting interview with young children. So the another implications is as children progress through to their life cycle, their perspective might change. So it will be a challenge for further research to explore the issue of developmental change in a wider age range. Maybe we can duplicate this research with older children, so we can see, we can understand, is there any gender preference for older children? Another implications, this study can help parents, social workers, and education professionals and researchers in the field of educational and children development to understand the voice of children. So the important one here is we try to understand the voice of children about their daily life, about their feeling, about their emotions. Here, I try to collect about the voice of children about their happiness in a play setting. I think that's all my presentations. Maybe we can discuss more about this. And thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih, Miss Yuli. Thank you very much for the amazing material. Now come to the question and answer session. Okay, if you have some question, you can raise hand on the Zoom meeting. Is there any? Okay, Mrs. Ismatul Hasanah. Please, Bu Isma.
Okay, thank you, Miss Riris, Miss Yuli, and how I appreciate Prof. Naciye. Nice to meet you. Okay, Miss Yuli, I want to ask you about the fact we see from Indonesia, almost kindergarten, that Miss Yuli, if I speak a broken language, I maybe translate in Indonesia. Can I?
Sure. Nggak apa-apa, Bu.
Saya sudah kehilangan vocabulary, jadi blank semua.
No problem.
Terima kasih Bu Yuli. Singkat kata begini, Bu. saya tertarik dengan paparan yang Bu Yuli sampaikan terkait dengan anak yang didampingi oleh orang tua pada saat bermain. Tetapi fakta yang ada beberapa anak yang sepertinya tidak tertarik ketika orang tuanya atau ibunya menemaninya bermain. Dia lebih happy ketika bermain sendiri atau dengan teman sebaya. Nah, kasus ini kalau mau dilakukan penelitian lebih lanjut, itu sebaiknya seperti apa, kemudian publikasi dan sebagainya, mungkin kita perlu dampingan khusus agar idealnya seorang anak akan bahagia ketika bermain dengan orang tuanya. Kok ini berbeda begitu. Berarti kita melihat faktor-faktor X dan Y yang di belakangnya. Mungkin itu. Kemudian yang kedua adalah bagaimana kita mengukur atau kebahagiaan perspektif anak dan kebahagiaan perspektif orang tua. Kadang-kadang di sini ada miss. Jadi menurut orang tua bahagia anak itu seperti ini, ternyata anaknya ditanya, enggak, aku biasa saja. Nah, itu apakah layak untuk dilakukan penelitian lebih lanjut atau seperti apa dan bagaimana? Terima kasih, Bu.
Ya, Bu. Boleh yang kedua tadi agak sedikit miss, Bu.
Yang kedua adalah standar atau bagaimana mengukur kebahagiaan versi anak dan kebahagiaan versi orang tua. Biasanya versi anak dan versi orang tua itu ukurannya berbeda.
Ya, thank you Bu Ismatul. Prof Naciye, I would like to try to translate into English for Bu Ismatul questions. I would like to jump into the second questions. She asked about the different perspective from the children and the mothers about happiness. How the implications for further research with the situations in Indonesians right now. So I would like to respond the questions, Isma. My previous research describe more about this. Yeah, you can also try to search my previous research in early child development and care journals. The title is Happiness from the Perspective of Mothers and Children. So in my previous research, yes, the results revealed that there is a disagreement between mothers and children. As you mentioned before, mothers told us that there were no problem with my daughter. There is no problem with my son. I see all of them are happy. But when we try to ask the children, they respond in a different experience. They respond with a different experience. They said, yes, I am happy, but I'm happy play with my friends, not with my family. Then I asked with the further questions, why you choose your friend instead of your mothers, instead of your fathers? They answer, when I choose to play with my mother, when I choose to play with my fathers, they try to interrupt me as much as they can. So I cannot play free. I just like someone who follow instructions, something like that. So the other reason is mothers and fathers usually give punishment when they are doing mistakes. So they try to avoid these situations. They feel accepted when they play with their friends. So that's why they choose friend as the first their play companions. But then for boys and girls, there are different perspective when they are having a negative experience with their friends. For girls, they will choose the family as a second play companions, while boys tend to choose to play alone when they have a negative experience with their friends. Jadi mungkin kalau saya bisa jelasin ke dalam bahasa, di penelitian saya sebelum ini, Bu Isma, itu saya meneliti tentang happiness dari perspektif anak dan ibu, dan ternyata memang perspektifnya berbeda, terjadi disagreement. Mothers itu melihat anak-anak itu lebih bahagia dari yang dilaporkan anak-anaknya secara langsung begitu. Jadi semacam ada bias begitu. Nah, dari hasil itu kemudian ada penelitian lanjutan gitu ya, untuk menelusuri apa yang menjadikan itu bias gitu ya. Dan ternyata memang betul gitu ya. Karena orang tua hanya melihat dari sudut pandangnya dia sendiri, yang dia lihat itu semacam proyeksi dari apa yang dia rasakan, dari yang apa yang diharapkan gitu, sehingga menjadi jawaban, padahal sesungguhnya realnya faktanya tidak gitu. Jadi jawaban orang tua itu cenderung ke proyeksi harapannya dia bahwa anaknya akan bahagia gitu. Dan sedangkan kalau anak ini dia jawaban jujur gitu. Nah kemudian akhirnya kemudian lanjut ke riset kedua ini gitu. Nah ketidakagreement gitu, ketidaksesuaian pendapat antara orang tua dan anak itu kemudian harus ditindaklanjuti dengan penelitian yang fokus hanya pada anak saja gitu, untuk menelusuri pengalaman bermainnya mereka. Dan di riset saya yang lain itu bukan hanya tentang bermain ya, tapi juga aspek-aspek yang lain berkaitan dengan happiness. Nanti mungkin kalau ada waktu nanti kita bisa ngobrol lebih lanjut, Bu Isma. Kemudian, for the first questions, still about further research, yeah, still about what we should do next for research regarding the fact that there is two problem statement. The first is keterbatasan riset bisa jadi ya, the limitations of research which involving young children, and the second problem is ketika anak-anak ini merasa tidak bahagia bermain, when children are not happy play with their families, so how to respond these situations? Which research we should do for the next time? I think it depends on our problem statement. When we start with a problem statement on the limitations of the research on a previous research about young children as an active respondent, so we can do the same research as mine. But when the problem statement start with the descriptions of the unhappiness of young children when they are playing with the family, so we can do action research. So, jadi kalau kita menjelaskannya dari problem statement yang pertama, maka arahnya lebih kepada action research. Bagaimana memberikan treatment kondisi yang ada, ya, anak tidak bahagia ketika bermain, justru malah bersama orang tuanya gitu. Jadi kalau problemnya itu, maka riset yang berikutnya adalah lebih kepada action research gitu. How to solve, bagaimana untuk menyelesaikan itu. Tapi kalau di problem statement-nya diawali dengan kita selama ini terbatas ya dalam hal penelitian yang mengeksplorasi pendapat anak secara langsung. We tried the research which involve young children to explore the voice of children is very limited, especially in our country, Indonesia. So, kalau when your problem statement is something like this, so you can try to conduct a further research the same research as mine. Jadi kalau misalnya problem statement yang kedua lebih kepada keterbatasan riset yang melibatkan anak untuk mendapatkan atau mendapatkan gambaran tentang suara-suara anak secara langsung, maka bisa ditindaklanjuti dengan penelitian-penelitian yang selanjutnya, tapi mungkin bisa dengan topik-topik yang lain, Bu Isma.
Oke, terima kasih Bu Yuli pencerahannya. Semoga nanti Bu Yuli bisa
Sama-sama.
mendampingi berikutnya ya.
Insya Allah.
Terima kasih.
Welcome.
Oke, terima kasih Bu Isma dan terima kasih Bu Yuli. There is one more question from Mr. Fajar Cahyadi. Mr. Fajar Cahyadi, please.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Riris. Good afternoon, Bu Yuli. Terima kasih. Thank you very much for your presentation. It is very interesting. Maybe my English is not really good, but I will try to speak in English. Okay, Bu Yuli, I have a question, maybe two questions. The first is about the demography. Is it influence the awareness of parents to children right? Maybe in Indonesia or some country have so many demographic. Maybe from the parents' salary, maybe, or education background of parents, number of sibling, and etc. According to your research, is it influence about background of parents to the student right issue? And question number two, is it influence how we can conduct this research to know correlation about that? Maybe it's all my question. Thank you for your answer.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Fajar. Yeah, I would like to respond on my previous research. I tried to describe about the demographic factors of the parents. Two of the demographic factors are about ethnic group, and the second is educational background. So based on my previous research study, these two demographic factors contribute to the parents' perspective of their children's happiness. For the Javanese and Sundanese and the mixed group ethnicity, there are different perspectives. So maybe the culture's value contribute to how parents think, how the parents' perspective, how the parents feel, maybe, yeah, because the cultures of value. And the second is educational background. the higher educational backgrounds bring the higher educational background of the parents, the more they have agreements with the children's perspective. Jadi semakin baik tingkat pendidikan orang tuanya, itu semakin agree. Jadi semakin terjadi kesesuaian antara perspektif orang tua dan perspektif anak. So the higher educational backgrounds of the parents, the more agreements between parents and their children. Kurang lebih seperti itu sih Pak. Tapi kalau my previous study limited for 3 ethnicity groups. So maybe as we know together, Indonesians have so many ethnic groups. So maybe Pak Fajar and another colleague can continue this study with another ethnicity group. So maybe we can have comprehensive descriptions, explanations about this. Jadi kalau mau dikembangkan lagi dengan ethnic group yang lain itu kayaknya lebih mantap Pak gitu. Nanti kita bisa dapat, oh ternyata kalau Jawa sudah begini, Sunda sudah begini. Kalau yang mix group itu waktu itu saya ambilnya di Jakarta karena mereka kan campur ya, sudah urban begitu. Nah, barangkali nanti ada dari ethnic group yang lain, dari Batak misalnya gitu ya, dari Betawi misalnya, kurang lebih seperti itu. Begitu Pak Fajar.
Oke, thank you Bu Yuli.
Oke, terima kasih Pak Fajar. Thank you, Miss Yuli. Ternyata ada satu pertanyaan lagi. One more question on the chat box from Mr. Sukamto. Ini Ibu Yuli yang kami hormati, membahas anak usia dini menjadi kajian yang sangat menarik dan orang tua mesti memberikan perhatian yang lebih. Sejatinya pekerjaan anak usia dini adalah bermain. Tetapi dinamika pendidikan kita di Indonesia, anak-anak sudah diajarkan membaca dan menghitung. Apakah itu berakibat fatal untuk perkembangan anak ke depan? Mohon maaf jika pertanyaan ini keluar konteks karena kebetulan ketemu Ibu Yuli yang adalah pakar PAUD. Nampaknya this is like FEQ ya. FEQ like frequently asked question.
Yeah.
Oh, Professor Naciye, raise hand.
Yes.
Okay.
Keep going, please. I can wait.
Okay, or wait, you answer, Miss Yuli answer the question first ya, from Mr. Kamto.
Ya, terima kasih Bu Riris. Thank you Pak Sukamto. Yeah, I agree with you. 100% agree with you. That's why my area of research is about play, children's play, not in reading and other things. So yeah, of course, when we try to give stimulus with to our children with something that are not sweet to their developmental age, it will bring the negative impact for their futures. So, but to prove this, I think, and I support, I push Mr. Sukamto to doing such research to explore what kind of effect with the children when they being stimulated with the readings and something on the early years. So mungkin bisa diteliti Pak dan dibuktikan pada dunia gitu ya. Mungkin dengan subjek yang lebih banyak sehingga lebih representatif begitu Pak Sukamto. Selama ini kan riset-riset dari teman-teman kita atau mungkin para mahasiswa kan cenderung dengan responden terbatas sehingga belum bisa mencengangkan dunia gitu loh Pak. Barangkali dengan subjek yang lebih banyak itu bisa menjadikan istilahnya ya standar gitu ya. Ini loh efeknya tuh begini gitu. Jadi jangan berani-berani misalnya begitu. Begitu Bu Riris, Pak Sukanto. Terima kasih. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Bu Yuli Kurniawati dan Pak Kanto. Okay, Professor Naciye.
Okay, Dr. Yuli, thank you very much for sharing your interesting research about children play, and it's so inspiring also. I got new ideas, research ideas. It inspired me. Actually, you showed in your research, you showed 6 pictures to children, right? If I am not misunderstood. And if you change the picture showing different kinds of play, do you think that the happiness feelings of children changes? I mean, for example, a picture shows a computer or outside play or something else. I mean, my first question is, how do you define happiness? Because I believe in that the feelings of happiness is instantly changing. Sometimes we feel, not happy, but we say in Turkey as an adult, yeah, I mean, şükür, it's okay. I don't expect anymore, but you understand that that person is not fully happy. And again, I say the feelings of happiness is instantly changing. If you show different kind of play pictures, do you think that the reactions and perceptions of children can change?
Yes. When I saw these 4 pictures about their play companions, and I also provided every children with a face scale. When they choose which one of their preference of becoming their play companions, for example, they choose friends. Then I saw the children's the face scale. Can you tell me which were you when you play with your friends?
Mhm.
And they choose the happiest face. Yes.
Yeah.
And after that, I try to explore with another pictures. How about these pictures? When in the situations, you can see there is a young boy play with their family. When you were become their boy, how are you feeling? Something like that. So there is a change of emotions when we provide it with the different pictures.
Thank you. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jadi
Okay.
setelah anak itu memilih gambar yang paling dia suka, kemudian disajikan face scale atau skala wajah, dia akan memilih mana yang menggambarkan dirimu ketika kamu bermain bersama teman. Mereka akan memilih gambar yang paling bahagia dan yang tidak bahagia. Tetapi ada juga anak-anak yang merasa tidak terlalu bahagia ketika bermain bersama teman karena tadi ada bullying gitu ya. Tapi hanya sebagian saja gitu. Nah, kemudian setelah mendapatkan respon dari jawaban yang paling dipilih, kemudian dilanjutkan dengan eksplorasi pada picture gambar-gambar yang lain yang tidak menjadi pilihan utama. Tujuannya untuk melihat konsistensi apakah ada change in their response about their feelings. Jadi tujuannya untuk melihat kalau misalnya disajikan gambar yang lain, jangan-jangan nanti dia tetap pilih yang paling bahagia, itu berarti kan nggak konsisten gitu. Nah, tujuannya lebih ke situ, tapi bisa untuk dianalisis bahwa, oh iya, ketika dia disajikan gambar bermain bersama orang tua, dia memilih gambar yang ketiga, so-so gitu ya, kadang bahagia, kadang enggak. Terus kemudian kita tanya, why you choose these pictures, they explain, Sometimes I'm happy play with my mothers, but most of the time I play unhappy. I feel unhappy when play with my mothers. So then we try to ask another questions, why you feel unhappy when you play with your mothers. The response I have already mentioned before. They feel interrupted all of the time. They feel nervous because of the punishment, something like that.
Okay, thank you, Miss Yuli and Professor Naciye. You know, according to Miss Yuli presentation and Professor Naciye question, I just want to practice this research to my sons. So I want to
Bisa
know.
saya juga praktik ke anak saya.
Yeah, yeah.
Saya suruh milih.
Yeah, yeah.
Alhamdulillah masih pilih dengan keluarga. Tapi
Yeah, I want to know.
imbang antara keluarga dan teman itu levelnya sama katanya.
Okay, yeah, I will practice later. Okay, there is no question again, yeah, for all, and the time is limited, so we have to close this session, this interesting session, and finally we come to the end of this session. Before I close the session, I would like to take the conclusion from what the speakers has presented. From Professor Naciye Aksoy, there are gender issues in education. There are obstacles to achieving gender equality in educational setting like hidden curriculum, gender blindness, teaching materials, teaching methods and process, curriculum or learning content, teacher-student interaction, patriarchal power relations, and gender stereotypes of educators like behaviors, attitudes, strategies, discourse, etc. And from Mrs. Yuli, Indonesian children aged 4 until 6 have their different preferences in play companions in order to reach the same level of happiness. It showed that friends were most mentioned option as children's play companions. Children's play companions leading to happiness. Some of children like to play with their friends instead of play with their parents, because if they play with their parents, the parents give some interrupt as much as they can, so the children cannot play freely. And some children like to play alone if they have disappointment with their friends. You know, your presentation, both of Professor Naciye Aksoy and Mrs. Yuli, are really important for me as a parent and as a lecturer. And I'm sure all the participants agree with me. So thank you so much for your amazing research. Now, let me give you a certificate about this event. Please, Mr. Thank you for Professor Naciye Aksoy. Give applause for Professor Naciye Aksoy.
Thank you very much giving me this great opportunity and sharing my ideas with, my dear friends in Indonesia. It's my honor, it's my pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much. You are all, so kind. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Aksoy. And terima kasih Bu Yuli Kurniawati Sugiyo Pranoto Ph.D. sudah berbagi hasil penelitian bersama kami, Bu Yuli.
Sama-sama, Bu Riris. Terima kasih Bapak Ibu semuanya.
Okay, I'd like to thank the speakers for the amazing presentation and all the participants for the very active participation. My friends and I are ready to make a research proposal. And please, to Professor Naciye Aksoy and Ms. Yuli Kurniawati to be supervisor for our research. Before I close this session, maybe we can take a picture of this session. Okay, Mr. Anas and Mr. Fajar, could you please take a picture of us? Bapak, Ibu, dosen, dan mahasiswa dimohon untuk membuka kamera. Kita akan berfoto bersama. Oke, slide 1. Sudah, Pak, slide 2. Second slide. Slide 3, third slide. Slide keempat. Dan slide kelima, the last slide. Dan sudah, Pak? Sudah. Okay. Thank you for your participation. I'm sorry for all my mistaken and see you on the next event. I am Riri Setiosudari. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor
Thank you,
Naciye.
Professor Naciye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to say Eid Mubarak in advance. You know, a few days later, Ramadan.
Terima kasih.
Thank
Eid
you.
Mubarak
you.
to all young
Terima kasih.
participants.
Happy Eid
Thank you.
Mubarak.
Thank
Terima
you.
kasih.
Thank you so much.